Cosmonauts have fixed a leak in one of the oldest modules on the space station. Rivaling Gateway, Russia and China sign up to build their own station in lunar orbit. And dust found in the Chicxulub Crater confirms the cause of dinosaur extinction. It's the 12th week of 2021.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. With the latest science and space news, this is Talkin Science with Dr. Brad Tucker and Matt Miller.
Welcome to Talkin Science. Matt Miller with you for another installment of the Science and Space News. Dr. Brad Tucker is here. Brad, happy Tuesday.
How's it going?
Really good, my friend. Really good. Well, we learnt this week that a joint experiment between Boeing and the University of Queensland has made it to the space station. It's testing out some coatings to see whether they can reduce the risk of transmission hotspots on things like aircraft tray tables, door handles, and the like. Fascinating and timely research, I think, in this COVID normal world.
Bacteria in extreme environments is always interesting, let's say that.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into the show, a quick reminder of the socials. We can find you on Twitter at btucker22. I'm on Twitter at Miramat86 and Trekzone all over social. Well, not all over social anymore, but on Twitter at Trekzone.org. YouTube and podcast apps as well. Just search for Trekzone. You'll find us, and you can get the latest episodes by subscribing and ringing the bell. Brad, let's get into the show. And our first story of the week is NASA targeting March 18 for hopefully the final test firing of the Space Launch System's engines ahead of a November launch.
Yeah, this was after they had their static fire test the other month, which, as we chatted about, didn't go according to plan. They were hoping to do it in February, but then they were delayed through some equipment stuff. So hopefully it works right this time and they don't have any further delays, because as you said, they really want to hit a November or this year launch of Artemis 1, which would just be an uncrewed mission around the moon.
Well, Hubble is recovering from a software glitch a few days ago, and while NASA is still troubleshooting one instrument, the telescope is back online.
Yeah, it was one of these things where it went into safety mode, which is what it's supposed to do if it has random voltages or doesn't have what it likes. And so it took them a while, about 5 days or so to get it back up online, which they did fantastically, and that's why Hubble has scientists and engineers assigned just to still work on it to get these things solved, and including, as you said, each instrument now with SID3, which is one of the workhorse instruments, something I just used last month, is not quite back up to speed. Hopefully it will be soon, because we'd hate to see that die. It'll be gone too soon.
Absolutely. Well, into the stories of the week now, and cosmonauts have fixed a leak, or they're about to fix a leak in one of the oldest modules on the space station.
Yeah, this is something we chatted about last year when they tried to pinpoint the leak, where they essentially went through and shut off every hatch and sealed off every room, trying to find where this leak ultimately was. They found it in one of the Russian modules. You said one of the first ones that was built. So they then set up a spacewalk to actually go outside and finally fix it. Now, we should just note there was never any danger here, but it's not something that you just kind of want festering.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, officials at both Roscosmos and NASA have been adamant that the crew aren't in any danger, as you say. And in fact, the cracks are only around 22 millimeters long and about 100 microns wide. So a few hairs might have been lost, but not much else.
Yeah, it really is a tiny thing, but what you're worried about is obviously wearing metal fatigue, and potentially becoming a bigger real problem there. So it's something that they obviously want to get a handle on. But it really just goes to show, with the space station being up there for over 2 decades now, these things will slowly happen more and more. Things will wear, things will get old. And there will have to be obviously questions about how the space station is paid for and maintained in the future, so that you don't have any potential problems.
Well, last week, Sputnik News in Russia reported that a panel of experts had concluded the cracks were formed either by metal fatigue, and obviously the longer that they fester, more metal fatigue can happen, or possibly even a micrometeorite impact. But at 20 years of service, either way, the Zvezda module has served crews well.
It has. There was talks about whether it was an accident, as you said, whether it was just fatigue or even a meteorite. And I think no one is dramatically surprised these things happen. They are designed quite well. And, we are passing the nominal initial design lifetime of the space station. That's something that we don't necessarily talk about, that it just keeps going and going and going. But there was an initial design, there was an initial limit for the space station, which it is now past. Now it's obviously still going strong, and they like to get as much out of it as they can, but there will be a finite lifetime for this thing.
And to repair these cracks, they're going to be drilling into the hull and applying a sealant. So it's a delicate operation, but one the cosmonauts are well qualified for. And the cosmonauts are doing this work because it's on the Russian side of the station.
That's right. It is their module. That is kind of the way it is divided. You do the work on your own module. Not that they can assist, and they wouldn't assist inside, but that is how it's set up. Is kind of you foot the maintenance bill yourself, like being a homeowner. And so they will get it done. And as you said, like sometimes there's simple fixes, a little sealant, a little gaffer tape, space gaffer tape, we should say, goes a long way.
A bit of flex tape, as it were.
Exactly, that's right.
I love it. Well, in some more Roscosmos news, they've signed up with the Chinese Space Agency to work on the International Scientific Lunar Station orbiting the moon. This is going to rival NASA's Gateway Station.
Yeah, look, and it's been interesting to see what exactly Roscosmos was going to do. Obviously, them and NASA have been the big players in space. But even though in the 70s they kind of built their own space stations, Mir and Skylab, they quickly realized that they were better together. They could do bigger things like the International Space Station, which is a direct byproduct of that working together. Now, it was always clear that China was going to be locked out of the US space station for political reasons of not being allowed to work with the Chinese National Space Agency or other government organizations in China as a US group. So the question was, what was Russia going to do? Were they going to work with China, who clearly said they wanted to go do their own, or would they continue working with the Americans? So in some ways, Russia was forced kind of to make a decision by the Americans as saying, you're kind of either with them or you're with us.
Well, we're kind of returning to the 60s space race a little bit, but on a global scale now.
Yeah, look, it definitely is a little bit different with this. Now, I mean, I think there's positives to this. It means that the other space station, the Chinese-Russian one, it will have more funding, more resources, could be bigger. That's great. That means there's two great facilities out there. It also could mean that, again, if we look towards, say, Mir and Skylab, that they do their own thing, they test it, and then they realize, well, let's build a bigger one together. There obviously could be negative consequences. It could heighten the race. It could make the competition more in a more unfriendly way. So there's a lot, I think, to be seen by this. So it's not just mere, we're surprised that Russia joined China. It's not dramatically surprising. But what is surprising is really just what it means for the Gateway, for the U.S.'s goals of lunar exploration, and by extension, the countries that have joined in, like European countries and Australia.
Well, we now have the top 3 space spenders intent on getting to lunar orbit and staying there. Despite all these ramifications, it'll be really interesting, a space to watch, if you'll pardon the pun, to see what happens. And it seems to be only a matter of time before we can look up at the moon in the night sky and know that there's people staring back at us.
Yeah, look, it clearly is going to be happening soon, that there is this race. And in fact, it's going to put a little pressure on NASA. They obviously want to get there by 2024. We talked about that. They are starting to build the Gateway. They're scheduling to launch on SpaceX's Falcon 9 Heavy in a couple of years. But if they slow down or they slip, this may mean that Russia and China beats them to that. So there will obviously be some close eye on the competition as we see. Now, of course, no one's going to say it's a competition, but it kind of is.
It absolutely is. Well, lastly this week, Brad, asteroid dust found in the Chicxulub Crater confirms the cause of the end of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, this is cool because it's kind of like the final seal, done it, who done it of wiping out the dinosaurs. It's kind of this clear evidence that an asteroid impacted off the northern part of Mexico at the time the dinosaurs went extinct. And by drilling down into the exact crater that was created underneath the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico, by taking samples and finding that a lot of the samples, a lot of the composition in the geological time period that they were looking at around 66 million years ago matches exactly what you'd expect from an asteroid, and in fact has a lot more stuff than that you would find on the Earth, is essentially that seal that says, yep, there was an asteroid that hit here, crashed, and caused a global extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs.
One thing I didn't know was that asteroid dust was first discovered around the world in the 80s at around the same geological layer, or at the same geological layer as this asteroid impact. But this new sample from the crater itself was found in 2016. And like we say, it has put the final nail in the coffin, confirming that this is the extinction level event that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Yeah, because that was always one of the ideas, that even though they found asteroid dust around the same geological time period that the dinosaurs were wiped out, which was really exciting. And that's what kind of really just turned the idea that it was an asteroid to it actually was an asteroid. But they wanted to kind of connect that to where it came from. So we kind of had, well, it looked like it came here and we found all this other stuff. But can we connect the two? Can we connect the line between those two dots? And that's exactly what the study is. It connects that line and it says, yep, these are connected. That asteroid dust that was found all around the world, that blanketed the atmosphere and blocked out the sun, which killed the plants and then killed the dinosaurs that ate the plants and then killed the dinosaurs that ate the dinosaurs, except the chickens that survived and now roam the earth.
And the cockroaches.
They are little velociraptors, chickens, I swear. But it just shows you, yes, this is what happened. So it's cool. It's one of those. It's a great tenet of science where it's we always call it a theory until we can kind of say 100%. We've crossed everything. We've checked everything. This is just what happened. It is a fact. It's not going to change. And people are saying essentially this is what this evidence changes, that you just can't really deny an asteroid hit here, left its bit, and that same stuff polluted all around the Earth at the exact same time the dinosaurs landed, and because of that. So there's a lot of interesting studies that actually now can follow through with kind of sealing this part of our history of Earth.
Well, and just to absolutely confirm that there is no doubt whatsoever, there's no possibility of any change. 4 independent labs were sent parts of these samples to provide that irrefutable proof. We have it now. The dinosaurs were wiped out by an asteroid. I think it's something that I always knew studying at school, but now to know that it is absolutely confirmed. And as you say, we can now move on and maybe investigate it even further and find out exactly what it all means and what it all was.
Yeah, as you said, they took great details into doing all of that, as you said, with the 4 labs and the multiple samples. And so, yeah, we can do these other investigations. What does exactly happen when an asteroid hits? How do we model it? How do we know? Because we don't actually know the answer to what actual asteroid do we have to be worried about. Obviously, they're the ones that we have to be worried about that would destroy a city. What is the size of an asteroid that we have to worry about that would wipe out the Earth, a la the dinosaurs? So there's a lot of these details where you can focus a little bit more on, you can study a little bit more on, knowing that, yes, this is what happened. When or how, if will it happen again? What could we do about it? What can we learn from about it? And has this happened in other past histories of our planet or even other planets?
And Brad, just before we go, a quick plug for what's coming up on the next Talkin' Science interview. Corey Tutt, the CEO of Deadly Science, is beaming in for a chat.
Yeah, look, he's doing some amazing things. It's not only just truly inspirational, but truly changing how children in remote areas, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids access science and the things that we're talking about here. So I'm sure you'll have a great chat.
It absolutely is amazing. And as I said to him in that chat, science never sleeps. We caught him outside Sydney Airport. So it's a great chat, and Deadly Science are doing some amazing things. So really looking forward to that. And we'll have a clickable card up in the top of the video on YouTube when that goes live later this week. For now, though, and as always, it's great to pick apart the stories with you. Brad, shall we do it again next week?
Great, thanks.